Good afternoon and good evening to some of you. Welcome back to our meetup. Your friendly neighborhood investor, Patrick Curley here again, back with Doc, Gary Shevitz,
Yeah, right. Thank you.
the
What's the
futuristic,
Michael J. character's name? Michael J. Fox's character's name in that?
the
Doc.
mad deal scientist, the deal negotiator, Gary Shevitz. And we're back again today with James French, who is one of our door knocking experts on foreclosures. And then we have Mike Matthias. I almost messed that up. Matthias, who is our integrator brain and coach, real estate coach with us. So welcome back,
I'm sure
guys.
you'll mess it up at least once tonight.
Yeah, so trip was good, man. So my business partner, he's actually an adult Disney nerd. They have season passes, so it was very productive. I don't think I've ever been on that many rides in such a short amount of time. We were either eating, drinking, or riding something in Disneyland, so it was a lot of fun.
Years ago, I did a Disney World trip with a buddy who was a former cast member, and that guy knew every nook and cranny, back door and alley, and we had so much freaking fun, and I was young enough to enjoy it, like your age or younger.
Yeah, we were sore the next day from standing and running around. It was a lot of fun. So today, guys, we're going to be talking about foreclosures. And we're going to be sticking with this theme for a while here, just to mirror kind of what Pace has been doing. And I've been going back through my information, and I gotta admit, I'm actually excited to dive back into foreclosures because there's a huge opportunity with foreclosures, guys. Out of any list that you guys pull or any target that you guys are targeting in your real estate business, foreclosures, without a doubt, hands down, is the largest amount of pain a seller is going to experience. And because of that, there's a lot of leverage in the conversation for them to take action. And so today, what I would like to do is I kind of want to talk about these stages because, in my opinion, one of the most overlooked opportunities and one of the biggest mistakes that people make when marketing to foreclosures is the fact that they don't understand where people are in that process, not only logistics wise and how it works with foreclosures, but mentally and emotionally. The psychology behind what they're going through and where they're at in that timeline is extremely important, because what you're going to see is a lot of these contracts or a lot of these properties go under contract within a specific window of time. So I wanted to break that down for you. Before I do, I want to give a congratulations and a two high fives to Hector Rivera. Hector, can you raise your hand for me? Can we bring you up on stage for a second?
I don't see Hector in here.
Can I add a spotlight?
There he is.
There we go. Hector, what's up, man?
What's going on, guys?
What's
Happy
up?
to be here. Yeah, it's exciting times.
I have to spotlight you, dude, because you went out there and you took action. And Hector and I just got a property under contract in San Antonio. And truth be told, guess what? They're behind on payments and it's a pre-foreclosure. So I just want to say congrats, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
I need a Brent Daniels bell to ring, you know.
Get the gong out.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely appreciate you guys. I've been watching for a little bit now. It's exciting to be part of this group, and I appreciate it, Patrick. You taking the reins on it, and pretty excited to be able to talk to David. And and
your first deal, Hector?
Yeah, my first pre-foreclosure deal. I've been calling for a little bit, and I found a few, but this one was definitely one that I saw the potential in it, just because he was behind, not too bad, had some good opportunities. I was like, I need someone to be able to, lock this in for me. And then after hearing you and Patrick talk about it, I was like, yeah, I think this is definitely the right group to send this listing to. And pretty excited that Patrick ran with it and took it. That's pretty exciting.
Patrick, we are under contract.
That is correct. We're under contract.
Awesome job, man.
Yep. TCs are already been looped in, and we're starting the process.
Good job, Hector.
Yeah,
appreciate it, James.
Man.
Thank you.
Yeah, give him some love in the chat, guys. Yeah, we're in contact with the sellers as well, and we're working with them to help them transition. So I do want to ask you a few questions, Hector, just to build some context for everybody who's here in the meeting and everybody who's going to be watching this later. Let me
Yeah,
ask you
sure.
this: how long have you been working in your real estate business?
So I actually started it earlier this year, just kind of started really just grinding, hammering down, learning all the aspects of the real estate investing, started my LLC, and did a large number of intense learning. And then for the last 3 months, I've been just kind of grinding down on generating leads, foreclosure primarily my primary focus. Just sourcing the leads myself, getting out there, calling, doing door knocking. I've done one campaign where I sent mailers out and stuff. Got some good leads, but just never quite got to the finish line on any of them. So this is the first time we've made it come to the finish line
Love it.
in that regard. But it's been exciting. It's been fun, and definitely appreciating this one lead in one one full follow. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. And so guys, I want you to hear that. So he's been at it really. So this is what very, very common is. I hear this a lot with investors that they start and then there's all these things that they need to figure out and all these preparation steps that they need to make. But really you've been at it for about 3 months, really like taking action. Right. So
for sure. Yeah.
And that's the thing. It takes most people a while to realize that, okay, I got to do the thing, right? Like I got to get on the phone, I got to text, I got to email, I got to knock on some doors. In conversations, we've said this before, guys, in previous meetings, the number one most powerful metric that you can measure in output is conversations. How many actual conversations are you guys having? Right? That's the one thing that's going to move the needle in your business. And Hector realized that. He got to a point where he's like, okay, enough's enough. I know enough, right? Like now I got to get on the phone, right?
Yeah.
And start actually making those phone calls. And you made a connection and you did it at the right time with the right amount of energy. And now we're under contract.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Speaking to him on the phone and having to sit down there at his table and seeing his pain was really, which is real, right? So it's like being able to help him. I'm like, I gotta help this guy. I gotta find somebody that can help me get this deal through. Since I was just obviously brand new to the Subto and not really fully immersed in it, but I knew enough from watching and learning and reading from Pace's things and a lot of the elephant leaders that I've been watching. So like, yeah, we definitely need to help this guy because he's genuine. It's like let's get him out of that situation, avoid his atomic bomb of black marks on his file and him and his family.
Yeah,
he's
in a tough spot for sure. So let me ask you this: how did you find this contact? Did you use a program, a specific program? Did you pull a specific list? How did you find this guy?
So I pulled the list directly from the county clerk's office. So I just did a full download of all the people in pre-foreclosure. Then I utilized PropStream just to kind of get some more information. And then I used a skip tracing program and then skip trace all this information and got his phone numbers and just started the outreach and just called. And then finally got a hold of him. Excuse me, finally got a hold of him and got him on the phone and just started talking. And I could just immediately sense his urgency that he really wanted something to do. He's, of course, been reached out by other investors in the past, and a lot of them gave him some crazy offers that I'm like, okay, they're pulling his leg. They're not really trying to do anything for him. And, I was just genuine, just listened to him, understood what he was going through and see what he really needed, and then got to the heart of it. And, he's just trying to do what's best for him and his son. And, unfortunately, the one key thing, the bunny, was that they're going through a divorce. Him and his wife are going through a divorce. So that was the other bunny that I found, and just kind of listened and asked what he needed. And ultimately we came to that conclusion. I need to sell it. I need to get out of this and unfortunate situation. And yeah, we made it happen.
Yeah. And all of you guys listening, I think it's easy to overlook or to kind of, not hear exactly what Hector's saying. The empathy that he had in the conversation is what made the difference for him, because I spoke to the seller on the phone as well. And he told me too, he's like, can you please give me the information of your transaction coordinator so I know it's her, because I'm getting a million calls a day. Right. And what stood out in the seller's mind was where Hector was coming from, the place that he was coming from, the compassion that he had. And so if you guys are listening, when he says bunnies, for those of you who are not familiar with the story, Pace talks about working with a seller. There was bunnies involved, and the bunnies symbolize how can I help you? How can I actually help you with the problem and the obstacle that you're facing? How can I help you overcome that? And if you come at them from that angle, they're going to remember you guys. right? They're going to remember you, and they're going to want to pick up your phone call, and they're going to want to answer your text message, right? And they're going to want to work with you guys. So it's really, really important. My panel of experts, do you guys have any questions for Hector? I love how we just put him on the hot seat.
No, it's pretty good. It's awesome.
Guys, what I want you to hear from this is that, and why I asked Hector, how long have you been in this, is because, he's relatively new, guys. Like, and it's not about skill. It's not about knowledge. It's the fact that he's out there taking action. He went down to the recording office, pulled a list, went through it, went to PropStream, got more information, started skip tracing, started making calls. And how many times did you have to call David before you got a hold of him?
I had to call 3 times. One had a bad number. Well, I pulled like 5 numbers, but then I finally got the right one. And then he answered. I got back feed.
I don't know who that is, but if we can,
That's my problem.
okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to find the bunnies so you guys can hear the story.
I was about to miss Gary.
But yeah, I think it was the 3rd number that I called, and he answered, and I talked to him for a little bit. Just kind of introduced myself, to him what I was looking to do for him, and he said, "Okay, just give me a call back." And I called him back the next day, and we got to about 20-30 minute conversation. Just started talking, and then he told me he had other investors looking at him, talking to him. And I, offered him what we could potentially do for him. And he, he got excited. He thought, okay, that sounds good. And I appreciate it. I think for him, when he told me, it's like, he really felt like I listened, and he really felt like I was generally trying to help him, versus the other people were just, "Hey, do you want me to sell me your house? Sell me your house." So that, for him, when he told me that I appreciate you, and I want to work with you, it's kind of when I knew he was ready to go. And I just kind of let him stewed over the weekend and see what he was going to do with the other sellers or the other buyers. And I called him that following Monday, and then we got to work.
Hector, you're awesome, bro. I want you guys all to remember this: action, 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 guys. Go out there and take action. Hector, thank you so much. I appreciate you, bro. And I know that we're going to be doing a ton of deals, and I might just have to absorb you into my business, bro.
Absolutely. I'd love to. I was actually looking at that link to join your team. I'd love to be a part of it.
Love it, Hector. Hey, man, thank you so much.
Appreciate you, Patrick.
Cool, man. So that deal is actually pretty spicy. I really like it a lot. Let me do a quick screen share here. And then there's some good questions in the side chat that I'll get to, you guys. I'm just gonna try to kind of go through a flow today. So this deal we're gonna be buying for 10K. And this, I could probably get away with less than 20K in reno. And I'll be using my cash and private money so that I can cash flow. This will probably cash flow anywhere from $500 to $700. It just really depends on how much money I'm bringing to the deal. And the house is probably, if it was fixed up, worth 185 now. So that means that he's walking away from a considerable amount of equity. There's probably, I would say, about 90K in equity here that he's just walking away from. Right. So eventually what I may do, I honestly, I'll probably hold this for at least 5 years. But it's a great deal. I'm excited to get Hector paid on this deal because he definitely deserved it. And I'm going to be, reaching out to Hector. We're going to stay in contact. And my goal, guys, with you is if you bring me a deal, believe me, I know I'm busy, but believe me, I will be reaching out to you so that I can contribute to your growth personally. Right? I want to make sure that you guys turn into investors, legitimate investors. I want to help you with that. Okay, so today, let's talk about foreclosures for a little bit. So, oh, I'm not showing my screen. Let me do that again. So there's 2 things that you need to be aware of. 2, phases. There's the notice of default. And the notice of default, this is when they say that the bank says, hey, look, you're late on payments. I think it's 90 days. And from there, they say, look, if you don't get up to speed here with the payments, we're going to have to go to auction. And this really depends. This window of time depends on the state, right? And then you have the notice of trustee sale. And this is when the bank says, look, we're going to go to auction. You really need to take action here. If you don't, we're going to put your house on the auction block and it's going to go bye-bye. And so this is really, really important to understand, because when we're here, this notice, oh, I don't like that color. This notice of default really doesn't mean anything to people for the most part, guys. They're just like, whatever, it's, it's going to either go away or I'll deal with it later, right? People are busy in people's lives, right? But where we really want to take action is this notice of trustee sale. This is where the money is. Okay. This is really where we want to take action. And so what you want to do is you want to understand the auction date, right? And then you want to create a window of time that is 3 weeks ahead of this date. Week 1, text, call, door knock. Right? And so from week 1, then we go to week 2, and we're doing the same thing. Oops, same thing. Week 3, I would say you want to amplify your calling and texting. Text and call times 3. You really want to hammer the phones and you really want to text. Okay. And knowing the psychology of where these people are at is super, super important. Okay. And here is the missed opportunity. Are you ready? This is where you're going to make way more money. In fact, I think that with foreclosures, if you really put your head down and you're really consistent, you should be able to close a deal in 30 days because of these strict timelines. So in week 1, most people say, F you, right? I'm sure James can attest to this, right? They say, F you, go away.
Oh, yeah.
I'm dealing with it. We don't need your help. We never will. Go away.
I got an attorney. He's going to help me out.
Right.
I just pay him hourly.
Exactly. All of the things, right? All of the things. We're doing all of the things. We don't need your help. Go away. Right. And so what do a lot of people do? They go, all right, well, they said F you, so I'm just going to go away. Right. Instead of continuing the conversation. Right. And really what you should be saying is, oh, you've got a lawyer, or, oh, you're in the middle of a loan mod. Awesome. That's great. So, John, before I let you go, I'm just curious, in the event that your loan mod doesn't go through, your application doesn't go through, and in the event that your lawyer can't help you, in the event that fill in the blank doesn't happen, what's your plan B? Right? What is your plan B? And they're going to say, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Right? And they might be open to the fact that it's not going to work, but that doesn't matter. The point is that you're planting a seed. What is your plan B? Okay, John, well, I know that you just said F you to me, and I appreciate that. I know that you're in a bad, tough spot. I'd hate to see this happen to you. I'll just check in with you next week. And regardless of what they say, guys, don't call me back. Don't text me. Don't whatever. Say, okay. And then you call them, text them week 2. This is where people lose a ton of opportunities right here, guys. Okay. And this is huge. So let's take a look at this. I actually got this from Christian Hernandez, he's a friend of mine. We do deals together. He sends me his deals. I buy them if they're still on the block, but these are the stages of grief. And Gary brought this up. Gary nailed it the other day. This is exactly what you need to be aware of. Because when they're get the notice of trustee sale, the notice of auction, they're going through grief, guys. And understanding these stages, not only will you understand the mindset, but you'll understand why it's important for you to keep pulling the trigger and keep reaching out to them and meeting them halfway. So the first step is denial, right? So when you call them, hey, I noticed that there's a problem with the bank here. I just wanted to reach out to see if we could help you navigate this situation. We work with sellers to either save their home, and we're there as a safety net to catch them if they, at the end of the day, need to sell, right? Oh no, I got it under control. We've got it all, we've got a lawyer or whatever, or we're doing a loan mod, right? This is how they're feeling: shock, numbness, confusion, shutting down. It can look like avoidance, procrastination, forgetting, easily distracted, mindless behavior, keeping busy all the time, right? You might call and they'll be like, oh, I'm busy right now, right? Like, okay, you're too busy to save your house. I got it. The next stage is anger, right? They're feeling frustration, impatience, resentment, embarrassment, rage, feeling out of control. And again, this is like, F you, go away, and they hang up, all right? They're still in that stage. The next stage is bargaining, guilt. They're feeling guilt, shame, blame, fear, anxiety, insecurity. This is when they might have a conversation with you, right? This might be week 2. This might be week 3. But they're getting to a place where they're disempowered, they're feeling helpless, and they feel guilty and they feel shameful about it. And then the next stage is depression, sadness, despair, helplessness, hopelessness, disappointed, overwhelmed. Again, can you guys see how they're becoming they may be more and more motivated to work with you at this point? And then we have acceptance here. This is when they're like, okay, like, Hector probably got these guys somewhere around these 2 stages, depression and acceptance, right? Somewhere in there is where he caught him, and the iron was hot. And this is when they're like, okay, where do I sign? Right. I mean, by the time Hector got through with them, I was on the phone. There was no selling happening. It was just like, I literally was like, how can I help you guys? And that's the question that I asked. I said, what are your next steps? Where are you going now? Do you have a plan? What do you need from me? And it wasn't about price. It wasn't about the contract. It was just about, how can I help you transition? And the guy, he kind of, he didn't sound like he really wanted to talk to me at first, but then once I said that, his complete tone 180 flipped, and he was like, okay, this guy actually wants to help me out of my situation. So now he picks up my phone calls, no problem. He'll text me back. So really, really important, guys, that you understand the stages of grief and you understand the actual timeline, because most of you guys are going to get shut down. And if you understand this going in, if you understand that it's not personal, they don't actually hate you, they're just really in a bad position. They're really in a bad spot. And they're getting these calls. And some of these people are not empathetic, have no compassion at all, right? And you can be that person that not only understands where they're at, but understands that they need something specifically where they're at in those stages. Is this all making sense, guys, in the chat? Does this make sense? Cool. Got a lot of yeses, got some thumbs up. Cool. Okay, so we had a question earlier. I'd like to know more about how to Anna Marie and Rod. Ooh, power couple. I think we've talked to them before. Anna Marie, do you want to chat with us for a second? Do you want to raise your hand?
Yes.
Hey, Anna, can you turn your camera on for us?
I'm having trouble with the camera part. I hit start video and it doesn't start. Oh, hey.
There we got you.
There we go.
Hi there.
Hey, let's see if we can. Yeah, we'll pull you up. Okay, so what's your question?
So I feel like I'm gonna get stuck when I say I could help you stop the foreclosure, because I don't know how to stop the foreclosure. So I feel like an imposter from the get-go.
Right. Okay. And so really, we want to be able to differentiate, like, can they rebound from their situation or not? Because what's more important, stopping a foreclosure or understanding what's next, right? And so that's a great question, and I'll go through it, but I want to highlight that, guys, because if you've got somebody who is in financial despair, they're in debt, and there's no source of income, and they don't have any resources, are they going to be able to save their home? Probably not, right? So I think it's really powerful to kind of understand where they're at, and you have to obviously ask permission. So saying something like, John, I know this is none of my business, but the reason that I'm asking these questions is to see if I can help you out of this situation. Do you have the financial resources to get current with a loan? And if actually, let me share my screen with you. So these are some of the ways that you could help. And I'll post some of this stuff for you guys. And if there's anything missing from here, Gary and James, if you guys want to add anything, let me know. So personal loan. So, hey, John, thank you so much for taking the time. I know that this is a very difficult time for you, and I appreciate you sharing all this information with me. I just want to run down a list real quickly for you, John, to help you know what maybe some of these options are. And some of these might seem simple, but believe it or not, some people don't even think about these types of options or aware that they're available to them. The first one, John, is, are you able to maybe get a personal loan from your family members? Have you thought about that? Right? John, do you have enough equity to actually list with an agent? Is that something that you might be considering? Right? Loan modification. Have you reached out to the bank and applied for a loan modification? And if they say, yeah, I have, or if they stop you abruptly and say, yes, I'm going through a loan modification. Okay, great, John, that sounds fantastic. I'm just curious, when did you send that application over? And if they say, well, what does it matter? Well, if you were approved, then it wouldn't be on a public record that you have a foreclosure and you're still on public record as being foreclosed on. And so I'm just concerned that that loan modification will go through, John. A lot of the time, I see that people get denied for their loan modifications and then they don't have a plan B. Now, if you want to save your home, I completely understand where you're coming from. Most people do. But if you have no other resources, I'd like to be there to help you out of the situation. So at least you can walk away with some cash, John. Right? Have you considered renting it out? Cash offer. This is, well, if none of these other things work for you, have you considered just selling to an investor like me? In creative terms, this cash offer, I would say, if there's a considerable amount of equity, you can still use creative options. Down here we have Novation, but I would say if there's considerable equity, if they have, in other words, if you're able to purchase this property at anywhere from 60 to 70% retail value, then a creative offer probably doesn't make a lot of sense to the seller. They probably want cash. Okay. But if it's, if they don't have that much equity, then creative terms might make more sense for them to be able to get whatever equity they do have out of the property, and then they can walk away from it. Okay. Bankruptcy. Honestly, I've spoken with Christian and some other people who are doing foreclosures, and this is like a last bankruptcy is like a last resort.
And I'm going to give you can mention this, do not recommend it. The best thing you can do is suggest they talk to a qualified bankruptcy attorney. Do not under any circumstances get involved in this, because there are serious consequences to filing bankruptcy.
Yeah. And remember, unless you're a lawyer, you're not to practice law, right? And so giving them legal advice is not your job. So you want to be careful, especially anything over email, guys. That's a paper trail. Yeah. So you don't ever want to be telling people what to do. The way that you want to phrase it, and this is usually what I'll say in conversations with sellers and agents, is, if it were me, I would go file for bankruptcy. That's what I would do, because I'll stop the foreclosure. Just be aware of the consequences. And if you guys are really going to get serious about investing in your state and becoming an investor, you want to think about building your network, guys. I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but I've got a lawyer I've got a mortgage loan originator. I have a unicorn agent. That's Gary, if you haven't already known. I got a guy who knocks doors. His name's James. He's here today. I got an integrator, Mike. Like I got a lot of resources in California, right, and in around California. So it's useful to have a lawyer that you can forward to people. Novation. This is something that I don't really do a lot of, guys. I'm in the business of wholesaling and holding. Those are my primary ways of investing. I wholesale.
And innovation by itself will not, but some of the agreements you can use to stop a bankruptcy. Like for instance, one way I've gotten it delayed was to sign a listing agreement and go to the trustee and the bank. Hey, we're putting it on the market. Here's the listing agreement, and we need a few months now to get this thing sold and get you paid. So parts of the novation agreement may be enough to delay the closing. Short sale can certainly do it, but that's going to stay on someone's credit forever. And I posted a link to this document in the chat. So if you want your own copy, grab it.
Yeah. And so these are just options, guys. So like, this list, if I'm talking to a seller about foreclosure, I'm going to mention these options, but I'm also going to create some context around them. And so there was another seller that I was speaking to just recently about selling the home, and there was an agent involved, and she brought up short sale. And I was like, yeah, you can do a short sale, but the problem is it's going to wreck your client's credit. Or I can give you your equity and take over the loan. And that's actually the best case scenario for him. Yes, there's risk involved, that's for sure, but this is actually the best option for him, right? So I will mention this, but again, you have to color it, right? Like, well, if I were you, I wouldn't consider it because this is what's on the other end of it. And if you're trying to rebound and turn your financial situation around, short sale is going to slow the process down, right?
Well, short sale is going to stay on your credit report for 7 years, just like a foreclosure. It's, it's not going to go away quickly. The beauty of Subto is we reinstate the loan, we make it a performing loan again within a couple of years if the seller is being responsible with their spending and their credit. They'll have a good FICO score again. No guarantees, but
yeah, I was gonna say it's by far the best thing that you can do. Everything that I see, like, why would you? And it's amazing that more realtors don't understand this for their clients that are in this situation, because it absolutely, rebuilds their credit super fast, and they're able to actually do something in a couple years.
James and I were lamenting. We were trying to work a deal together, and the realtors steered the client to what's best for the realtors.
Right.
What the realtors perceived what was best for the realtors, rather than listening to serious consultation about, hey, this is what's best for your client,
Yep. And I just go ahead, James.
Sorry, and they even clarified that, like, well, if we do a short sale, then the realtor will get his full commission. And we're just like, are you serious? Like, so he gets his full commission. And what was crazy about it is the realtor and the seller were friends. And we're like, okay, but he's getting his full commission, and your friend is what for the next how many years? Like, amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Similar situation. Yeah, I deal with the same thing. Today, I actually literally just talked to an agent where they canceled the listing agreement because they were getting offers for Subto, and the brokerage didn't want to do it. They just thought it was too risky, so they didn't want the liability. I spoke with the direct to seller. I actually spoke to the seller. They're under contract with Subto. I'm sure I'm going to see it. Somebody's going to be trying to sell it in the community. And yeah, I just let them know if they don't perform, I'm your actual buyer. Like, and I let them know too. I said, this is a Subto, so you're completely exposed, just so you know. I'm sure you've already signed off on that, but that's how this works. And if they go to sell it to somebody else that you haven't vetted, that's what this is going to look like, So anyways, really, really important. But the point is that a lot of agents either aren't educated by it or they don't want the liability. And you just have to be able to understand what the seller needs and what the best options are for them. So, Anna, did that kind of help out?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, by the way, I'm just getting back into town, guys. I'm getting caught up. My inbox is freaking war zone. But I'm going to be creating like a script for you guys for foreclosures as to how I would approach it. And I'll be posting that very soon. It's going to be on the resource page. So for those of you who've already opted in, hopefully by now you have bookmarked that resource page. But that's where I'm going to be posting that information for you guys. Okay.
I'd also like to clarify, when Patrick was going through all that stuff, when he says loans for all you people to understand, because you have two options with the loan to stop the foreclosure. You can either just pay for the arrears, and right there, once you pay for the arrears, that'll stop and obviously that's going to be your cheapest way, or you can pay the whole loan out full right, and then it's done. But either way, once you pay for the arrears or once you pay off the loan, then that'll stop the foreclosure.
So Lionel has a question. If they don't want to do a sub 2 and want to just short sell it, will you still buy it? No, I don't buy short sales. Banks are notoriously hard to negotiate with. And if it becomes a short sale, honestly, I move on. I do know that there are people who do focus on short sales. I'm not one of them. Again, a very, very common theme to these meetings, guys, is going to be focus. I focus on two things, guys. Wholesaling cash deals in California and buying everything I can get my hands on in the Sunbelt on creative terms. That's all I do. Right.
And foreclosure is a great way to get creative terms.
Correct.
But it's, because they're the most motivated sellers to have the most to gain from it. It's the easiest sell when you got somebody in major distress like that. Short sell, there are some people that focus on those, but they are masters of that game.
Right.
And they know how to play the bank.
And Lionel,
we do have a colleague and she's amazing with those.
Yeah. And Lionel, to add on to that, what I would say is, why don't they want to do a sub 2? It's probably because they're concerned about default, or they don't want to be tied to the loan anymore, right? And so one of the things that Gary and I have been working on in California, Gary specifically has been working a lot on this with lawyers.
How to stop foreclosure.
An all-inclusive deed of trust. I don't know who's not muted, but can we mute them?
Yeah.
Thank you. And all includes, like, so for me, Lionel, I don't care. I mean, I'd prefer Subto just because there's more flexibility and less liability for me. But honestly, I don't care. Like, I'm talking to a seller in Texas who's got a fourplex, and he's a little bit more sophisticated. So we're going to draft a deed of trust. Like, that's fine with me. I don't need a straight Subto. I can securitize the seller. Why? Because I'm not wholesaling the deal. I'm acquiring it. So getting better at negotiating, getting better at understanding that we could also securitize them in that transaction is what you want to bring up. Because if it's truly, if they have low equity, then that is their best bet. A short sell is not the best way to go.
I secure all of the sellers who need to protect them. That should be a standard in the community. It's a standard for Pace's team now. It's been a standard for mine for a while.
Anna Marie asks, did you do anything to become a quote unquote trusted investor that will pay the payments each month? So when it comes to vetting, what I'll generally do is I'll send them over company information. I'm online. My team is online. They can see me online. CashReadyHomes.com is the California business that we use. We set up a website as well for sunbelthomesolution.com. So if you guys Google sunbelthomesolution.com, you'll see that pop up. That's our creative acquisition business. We're still working on that website, but it should be done probably this week. And so I'll send them a company.
This is called credibility.
Yeah, right. You're sending over credibility stuff, a package, right? So, I mean, in Gary, I've CC'd Gary on, I don't even know how many emails at this point with creative offers. I'll CC him, and then I'll put the company information so that they can see all of that. So if you don't have that, that's the point of working with us. You just say, hey, the partner that I work for, this is what I would say, the partner that I work for can get a hold of you. When's the best time to schedule a call? And they can provide all the company information about us when they do. We just want to, before I book that call, we just want to know that your seller's open to this type of transaction.
So Kalila, you're asking probably, excuse me, about probate. And many probate properties fall into the category of distressed. They are good fixers and therefore great opportunities for cash sales. The thing is with probate is most that, especially if there's more than one heir, they rarely see heir to heir. So it's and they want their cash. Grandma died, there's 5 grandchildren that are inheriting the estate. They all want the money. They want the money and they want to leave. So for purposes of creative deals, it's a stretch. And if you focus on those for creative deals, you're going to be investing a lot of freaking time without scoring. And, as Patrick has gotten really good at like disqualified. Go after the ones that you think you got a good chance of closing rather than hammering away at the ones that you have a difficult time. Again, probate best for cash sales if the property is a fixer,
Yeah.
generally speaking.
You got the court involved and all that stuff. It's usually not the best idea for creative because they're just not going to hear you. So we do probate cash deals though. I mean, they're fine with that.
Yep, fixers, great cash sale opportunities. That's what the heirs want. They want the cash. They want that influx of money coming into their pocket, into their checkbooks. They want to get out. They're not looking to turn it into income.
And one thing I'll say, guys, I'm glad that you brought this up, Gary, because
Kalila brought it up.
well, Kalila brought it up. And actually this applies because Kalila actually just had a lead that we were going back and forth on. And I called the agent, great rapport, had a great conversation with her, explained what we do, why we're doing it. But the seller just wasn't motivated. Really, like my equity partner in Atlanta wanted to see one of two things. We're either going to buy the property at its actual value on terms, or we need cash flow. You got to give us one of those two things. And they didn't want to give us either. So they wanted their cake and they wanted to eat it too, which with this specific property, there's no reason for them to sell on terms. So what I'm getting at here is that when we talk about disqualifying, it's easy as a new investor to go, oh my God, I had a great conversation. They're open to terms. They're not telling me to F off. And you get emotionally attached. You think, okay, I got something here. This is going to turn into something, right? And turns out that at the end of the day, the seller's just not motivated, right? So if what you really want to look for is pain, guys, like why, the motivation, where's the pain? Right? Why do they need to sell on terms? That's super, super important. If it's just something that they're trying to sell and they're open to listening to you, that's not necessarily motivation. So really, really important that you guys are be able to differentiate that, because like Gary said, you gotta make decisions real quick and disqualify and move on so that you can spend your time and energy on actual opportunities. Does that make sense, guys? Cool. Okay, so any questions before we move on? If a property does not have any comps to compare it with, would that be considered a bad wholesale deal? Probably. Probably. That's
such a unique animal.
Yeah. Well,
unless it's in an area or it's a special house that everybody knows, like, for the most part, you're going to find those uncomparable homes out in rural areas or in odd areas of cities. So yeah, and what Patrick would tell you if I weren't opening my mouth right now is you need to look at the liquidity in that area. If there's good liquidity, maybe you'd look at it. But
you hit both the points. It's
yeah.
either I love that you've been around me long enough.
Well, I've been around the business long enough, but those are the points. I mean, if you can't find a comp, then you're going to say, is it even worth looking at it? So look at the market. What's the market?
It can be one of those things where you're looking and you want to make it a deal, but you should always think about, why aren't there more houses selling in this area? So what Gary said is completely right. Either one, it's probably in a really out in the middle of nowhere area, which is probably not the best wholesale deal. Or two, it's just in a pocket that for whatever reason, there's not a lot of liquidity. Now that may not always be the case. You might want to call around and call an agent. Sometimes what we'll do when we have something that's either going to go under contract or is under contract, and this is my dispo manager's job, what he'll do is he'll call on a house that's pending in the area to see what actual cash offer they got. And he'll just say, hey, I'm an investor in the area. I'm just curious what cash offer you got on that house. I'm not bidding on it. I'm just want to see. And most of the time the agents will tell them what the cash offer was. So then we'll know, okay, they submitted EMD. It's non-contingent at this point. They're going to perform, in other words, and they got an offer for X. So that we'll go back and we'll change our numbers on the actual contract that we have in that case. Or you can ask the agent like, hey, I noticed that there's not like a lot of liquidity in this area, not a lot of trading houses. What do you know about this market? Do houses go quickly? And that's something else that you can look at, because sometimes there are pockets where the houses do sell, they sell fast, but it just so happens to be a place where there's not a lot of people selling their homes, they're holding on to them. So you just have to know. But if there's a lot of trees, it's probably not the right area. Okay, other questions here. If they don't know who paid, that's no question. Okay. Lakeland, Florida, and the agent even said that it's zoned as a commercial property as well. I'm not currently doing commercial, so if I were you, I'd stick with residential. I would just stick with one thing at a time.
Bob, do not use Pace and Abraham as your partners. That's a privilege that you get from joining the Subto community, not the Elephant Challenge.
So specifically, guys, I say that I partner with them, right? And so if you say, yeah, the partner that I'm working for works with these guys, that's acceptable, okay, guys? But you don't want to say that you're a partner with them. And it's, by the way, it's true. We're on title with a property, and we're acquiring properties, so they are actually my partners, guys. Are you open to townhomes or only? Personally, I'm looking at single family homes, but if there's a good deal and it's in an area that, like Atlanta, for example, I'll definitely look at it.
So Anna Marie, did you join the Subto fund?
It sounds like she contributed to the fund of funds. Good for you. Very smart. Awesome. Love it. Okay, guys, anything on foreclosures? Any other questions about that? If not, we're going to be diving into where to find them. And Mike, do you think you can?
Dylan's asking about, Dylan's had just a quick question about targeting foreclosures at the interest rate that we're normally looking at for 5% and less, if that's like part of the criteria still.
That's a great question. And so if you are going to hold it, that's probably what you want to do. You want to be targeting those. If it's a cash deal, then it doesn't matter. What I would also say is that you never really know, guys. Like, Kalila brought me a property in Georgia, right? And when I looked at it, it said it had a note on it. But when we called the agent, she said it was free and clear. So you really don't know until you make contact. So what I would just focus on is actually just reaching out to those foreclosure properties and then dealing with them accordingly when you do get them. Okay, Mike, do you think you could maybe run us through how to find foreclosures or how to find properties that are in auction, going to auction?
Sure, I can share my screen real quick.
Wait, let me
in
see.
the normal place, what's that?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So a minute ago, I just posted the opt-in link. If you guys haven't done that, that'll take you to the resources page where we house basically every link that we shared with you guys in these meetings. I'll post it here again one more time, just so it's bumped up. If you haven't filled that out, fill that out, and that'll take you to our resources page. And from that, I will share my screen, what that looks like. Okay, so no. Once you fill out that form, you'll get taken to this resources page, and then we've gone ahead and collected the preliminary lists for foreclosures in all the areas that we're buying. So the Sunbelt area that we're normally looking at for lists that we've collected previously are the same areas that we've pulled foreclosures in, and we've gone ahead and done this for you in like a similar fashion for the foreclosures. So once you click on that properties list link, you'll get brought to a Google Drive, and our foreclosures list has everything that has an auction date out, starting 1 week from today out in 30 days from now. So this is in all the different states that we're looking for. So you can click into this, and the onus will kind of be on you guys to locate names and contact information for who needs to be contacted here. You can either go ahead and use people. What is the find people
So
site, Patrick?
fastpeoplesearch.com is really great.
Yeah, fast people search. That's a free way to do it.
So what
you could also
what you
yeah, go
want to
ahead.
do, guys, is you want to look at, can you expand column P and column Q? Yeah, perfect. So yeah, actually, so Q and R. So inside of Q and R, you can see the names, guys. Some of these are in living trusts, so it's going to be kind of tough for you to see. Now, if you have PropStream, can we actually, let's see, can you, that 957 West 10th Street, can you plug that into PropStream real quick? I'm just curious. So if you don't already have PropStream, guys, I would highly recommend that you get it. If you're broke, I get it. Team up
Did
with
you
somebody.
skip trace these?
No,
No.
we're talking about how to find the contact information right now.
1 second. Let's switch to Google. Okay.
So what we want to do, guys, is you want to cross-reference the name who's on title with who you find on fastpeoplesearch.com. Okay, so if we were to put in an address, you're going to see the name of who's on title. Now, if it's a trust, like the address that he's going to be plugging in momentarily, you may be able to see who's on title by the purchase history.
Well, let's back up.
We're really testing Mike's speed today.
Well, no,
Speed test.
we're witnessing no preparation.
I love that we have.
Tell Mike that you were going to do this.
No, I'm putting him on the spot.
It's all right.
Yeah, he's
Typical Patrick.
man, I thought you were giving Mike a hard time, but clearly it's coming back my way. It's right there in the there we go. Cool.
There it is.
So let's go ahead and click on details and take a look at. That's interesting. It looks like there's 2 of them here. So number 2, I would think.
Maybe both.
So go ahead and click on the number
This
2,
one, yeah.
the right navigation menu, and then R, that works too. Okay, mortgage and transaction history. So you can see it's in a living trust, Billy Joe Rucker living trust. So there's his name right there. So go ahead and click on the mortgage and transaction history. So you can see the buyer's name, Billy Rucker. So that's one way, guys. If you have this and it's in a living trust, if you have PropStream and you find something in a living trust, you can take that name and cross-reference. So basically what we would do, we're not going to do it here because we can't post this on YouTube if we do, but you would copy that address and put it in fastpeoplesearch.com, and then it would spit out a bunch of names, and you're looking for Billy Rucker. And then you call all of those numbers on that list. Again, we can't go step by step, but it's pretty self-explanatory, guys. Fastpeoplesearch.com. Another one that I like is familytreenow.com. Okay.
Is that free too?
let's look at true, you like fast people search?
Both of them are free.
I use Fast People. I like it. It's super easy.
I like true people search, but I wouldn't mind looking at fast people search here. See what the difference is.
Yeah, we can't show we can't show this information on video, guys. They'll shut
But
down.
this is where you would go.
This is where you go. It's pretty simple. You put the address in there, and then you basically what you're doing is on the results, it's going to give you a bunch of names. You're just going to cross-reference it with what you see in PropStream or on the list. Go ahead and click on the list for me, the spreadsheet.
Yeah,
Or
I
you
would definitely lead with street address, not the name.
All right, guys. So just one step, and then once you get all that contact information, you start calling them. Now, remember, how many times do you think you guys are going to have to call them in the chat?
Oh,
Kevin says 100 times. Kevin, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Dylan says a bunch.
well, when you use that search, you're going to come up with like every person is probably going to have 4 to 8 numbers under their name because they're always changing their phone numbers. People are just constantly, or bill collectors are constantly after these people. So they're always changing something. So you're going to get a huge list of phone numbers for each
Does
person.
fast people search show the last time, the date when they verified the number?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
something
think.
that's something true people search does, which helps you narrow it down.
Oh, that's helpful. So yeah, guys, True People Search, Fast People Search, FamilyTreeNow.com. Those are all great resources for you guys to find this information. Okay.
So these are all pre-foreclosures in Arizona. Are these the ones that Pace provided?
No, we pulled this list.
No,
you guys
we pulled this today.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
and this is all across the Sunbelt, not limited just
I
here.
see that.
So these people are, they have an auction, guys, and they're in that cycle. They're somewhere in that cycle, that emotional cycle where they're in denial, they're upset, right? Some of them are probably breaking down and ready to say yes.
So don't give these out to anybody who's not here in this meeting, because just think of how many of you are going to be calling.
Well, you guys have to opt in to get this list. And that's the link that we just gave you guys.
There's at least 4 people that are getting it now.
Yeah.
But you don't want to hand it. All I'm saying is, if too many people are hammering the same people, they'll just stop answering their freaking phones. That's what gets them to change their numbers.
Too many people are, I'm almost positive too many people are already reaching out to these people.
Yeah, right.
So hammer it, guys. And remember, we're coming from a place of helping, guys. We're coming from a place of trying to make a difference, a positive difference with these people. Do you have to bring a first deal to opt in? No. Mike, can you post that link again? All you guys got to do is put your information in and you will be redirected to that resource page.
So now there are times when that question, sorry I came in late, who's that from? Wendelio?
Knuckleheads.
Well, yeah, Pace would like, suffer because you came late, he gets really bothered by that. Like, I'm late, can you, or asking the question that he answered in the first 20 minutes, you show up at hour 1 and ask that question.
All right, guys. So, and now if you want to, all right, I guess I'll go through this real quick in terms of finding these people. See PropStream. And just so you
followed the link and it's asking me JV details.
Just so you know, guys, Mike, are you giving them the opt-in for the resources or the?
Yeah, that's this one. My bad. This is the one you guys should be going to here. That'll lead you to the resources page.
Okay, cool. One thing I will say, guys, is that sometimes I use my personal phone. You know, I use my personal phone. I actually just spoke to a seller the other day. He has a fourplex, a little bit more sophisticated of a seller. And on the phone call, he was like, yeah, I decided to pick up your phone because it was a real number, right? So sometimes you might want to just call from your cell phone, call from our text from there as well. Again, that's completely your choice. I'm not telling you have to. Most of the time I'm using my CRM, but regardless, I'm using my CRM or something, and you guys should be using something to stay organized. So if you don't have a CRM, if you're not sophisticated, that's okay, but have a spreadsheet. When's the last time I called this person? What did we talk about? Take notes on every single call, guys. If you make a connection, take notes, even if they're like, they said F you on day one. Great. Write a note. They said F you on day one. So that way, when you call them back, you know, you have that reference. Really important, guys, because you're not going to be able to keep all this stuff in your head. You're not going to be able to stay on top of following up to the frequency in which you need to actually get a deal. Cool. Okay, now, if we have not already pulled it, you can come in here, guys, and you can look at specific places like Sacramento, for example. Sacramento, let's just do Sacramento City. I would love to buy another rental in this area. So foreclose, I'm going to go auction. I'm going to go auction date. I'm not going to choose this week because honestly, that is just not enough time. So I'll go from, let's go Monday. Oops, I should have done this one. Monday through end of the week or end of the month. I've only got one. Great. I'm okay with that, guys. Let's see. Is this on the market? Foreclosure. Doesn't look like. And they owe. What do they owe? Can't see it here, but it looks like there's low equity here, which this might be a deal for me. Oh, fixed rate at 4.3 reverse mortgage. So one thing you guys should know is that reverse mortgage, if you have a reverse mortgage, guys, it's going to have to be a cash deal. And if this
it's likely to be a cash deal if there's equity. But if it's a lot of these end up having no equity or negative equity, they can be acquired on a short sale, and every once in a while the property's actually worth it, especially if it's a fixer. But the deal is that these were also called home equity conversion mortgages or HECMs. They are controlled by HUD. So these are a type of FHA loan, and HUD will send an appraiser out on the property and they will let you buy it for 95% of appraised value as it sits. So if it's a fixer, it can be a deal, especially if it's in a great neighborhood. And, you know, I have seen them be absolutely great deals. But otherwise, these, as Patrick says, they are going to be cash deals.
Right. So just know, guys, like if you see something reverse mortgage, and you see that, like, let's just take this number, for example, and you're thinking, okay, maybe we could do this as a cash deal. Well, we already know that we need to acquire these properties at anywhere from 60 to 70% of retail value. So assuming these aggregated values are correct, which generally they're not, but well, if we look at, let's do this. Zillow says it's worth what? 430. This says 460. Zillow is usually not super accurate, but I typically see that it's maybe a little high. So if we said 430 times 0.6, that's 258. They owe 249. So this might actually be a cash deal at 249 or slightly above. Right. So this could possibly be a cash wholesale deal. Does that make sense, everybody?
The smart thing for the family to do in this case is to put it on market, and it's not.
Yeah. So
or it says 46 days on Zillow.
Right.
Is it for sale or no?
just looks like it's a foreclosure. I don't think there's any representation here. So address is in the chat. Somebody find the seller and call. 5 pillars. Get the information. Somebody call on that. Cool. So it doesn't look like I have anything to buy, which makes me sad inside. Let me see. What if we do next month? No auctions next month. So I guess none have been set. Oh, well. So that's how we would do it, guys. If we want to search for, let's say Dallas, Texas, for example. Let's go back to
The most that I saw, Patrick, and the list that we pulled today would have been in Phoenix.
Phoenix,
Not sure if
Arizona.
you want to use that as an example. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's do October and see what we got going on in Dallas. Oops. November, October. So here we go. We got 9 properties. All right, let's take a look at one of these. So this is, wow, super, super cheap home. They have equity. Also got a linked property, so this might be vacant. 4.5%. I'm not super excited about this price point, but you could call on it. This might be something. It looks like it's a prefab, doesn't it? Looks like a manufactured home. So I don't know if that's something that I'd be interested in. But let's take a look. What else do we got? Considerable.
Should tell you if it is.
So really, really high interest rates, and they've got high equity here. So this is probably a cash deal. And it's auction. So I don't think you could, at this point, I think it's already an auction and you probably can't get a hold or do anything, right? What would you say on this one, Gary? Probably sold through foreclosure. Yeah. The property will be sold through applicable foreclosure auction process. Probably not an opportunity. We want to be able to get to the seller before that happens. This one is another high equity.
All bank sales or all foreclosure sales are auctions.
So can we call this seller before? Can we
Yes,
call that?
yes, yes.
Okay. All right.
Do you have the auction date? I mean, yeah, they can be stopped right up to the day before, sometimes the day of.
Very important to note. This one is a very high equity. Looks like it's off market.
Why is it in foreclosure if it's such high equity? What is the mortgage amount?
61K.
Somebody's just letting this go. I mean, it's on market, obviously, no?
Doesn't look like it.
Got 36 pictures. Is there any MLS details? Says off market here.
This could potentially be. Looks like it's rent ready. So I don't know what the
It's
story is,
staged almost.
but you'd have to
Seeing
call.
a lot of personal property in these photographs.
This one is definitely a cash
Oh,
deal.
is that an open door house? Is that what it said or no? Who's the owner?
Oh, did I miss that? Nope. It's there's Michelle
Uh,
Villanueva.
Villanueva, Villanueva, or Villa. It's probably Villanueva.
You don't think it's Via?
That's Filipino name, which they would say Villanueva. In Spanish, it would be Villanueva.
Gary, you're so cultured.
Well, the Filipino pronunciation is a little different.
Oh, interesting. We've got a seller carryback note. So, it looks like this guy is being foreclosed on by a lender.
Well, you
Interesting.
got to have a mortgage to foreclose.
No, I mean an actual lender, like a private money lender.
Right.
So interesting. I mean, this
For
is
$23,000, you sit here and you're like scratch. What is it? SMH scratching my head. Why is these people in this situation? Doesn't that illustrate denial? We're not talking about a river in Egypt, right? Denial. Like, you're letting your house go through the foreclosure process when you got all this freaking equity. What is wrong with you?
right. No income, no source of income.
But still,
This
why
looks,
are you going to let penalties and excessive interest eat up what little money you have?
yeah, this could potentially be a creative deal, assuming that there's not a ton of work needed on this home. It was built in the 40s, so chances are that this isn't a creative or cash deal, but we would have to see the condition of the property. Well, might be a cash deal actually. It's not a very high price point. So maybe a value add here. The lot is 5,200 square feet. So I don't know if I'd spend time on that one or not. Is this helpful, guys? Me going through this and kind of working through.
I don't see any liens, Anna Marie. They'll usually show up here.
FHA at 4.3. This might cash flow because it was taken out in 2014. And they might walk away from some equity here. So we might be able to hybrid this one. So this might actually be a deal that I'm interested in.
You got that information I sent you on wraps, right? In Texas?
You did. Yeah, I did. Thank you. Looks like this one hasn't.
Special laws. Not the best pictures ever, huh?
Yeah, these were taken quite a while ago, so we don't really know what the condition of the property looks like. But I'm liking the numbers that I'm seeing here. Yeah, I would
You guys
definitely
notice how blazing fast Patrick is with these?
Yeah, I would buy this in a heartbeat. So this is a prime example of something that I would purchase. The PITI is very low. They might be willing to walk away from considerable equity here. Because it's
Well,
worth.
there's a bankruptcy here. Let's look at the bankruptcy. That's why this is sitting. Asset involved, yes. So bankrupt document type bankruptcy, was it dismissed? What was this from? 2018? There may be more liens that we're not seeing here.
Right. So Hector, get on it. Get my boy Hector in there to
Hector's got his marching orders. Here we
That's
go.
right. Get on it. I want that one. All right, let's take a look.
So this has been the lightest question session. I mean, Cindy's not here today, so there's at least 3 questions we didn't have, but
Yeah, I'm a little.
and I haven't seen Maria and a few others, but no questions, guys, because we're down to our last 15, 14, 15, 13 minutes. Oh, there's Kalila. Always count on Kalila for a hand. Yeah, let me let's bring up Kalila. Kalila, how are you?
What's up, girl?
You've been so quiet today.
I actually put my question in the chat, and I saw when you probably didn't see it and you thought it was no questions. I was like, let me raise my hand because I put it in there, but you probably didn't see it. My question was, when you see a property, say on Zillow or something like that, and it says the word auction as the status, does that mean that you're unable? Is it too late in the pre-foreclosure process to contact the actual homeowner or still reach out to them?
You can always reach out to them. We know people that can stop the foreclosure the day of. There are lots of ways of manipulating that. Some people use temporary restraining orders. So yeah, if you deliver a TRO on the steps right before it's auctioned, yeah, they'll stop it. Court
Okay.
order, so yeah, it's never too late. It gets hairier and crazier and more insane the closer you get.
Yeah.
Unless of course they're moving it anyway and they just haven't told anybody yet.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Nat, I think, is next.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi,
Hi.
Patrick. Hi, Gary. And I'm at work, so right now I have to I have a question very quickly. And I submitted my recorded call with my agent, but I didn't have a link to join the meeting, so I don't know what I did wrong.
We're going to be sitting at. Are you talking about our Thursday action taker meetings?
Yes, at noon. Yes.
Our secret action taker meetings. It's so secret that we haven't sent out the link yet.
Even Patrick doesn't know when and where it is.
I don't even know.
Yeah. Patrick has not revealed this information to even himself. So
we're still working on the handshake, how the secret handshake is gonna go. So,
okay.
No, bro. We've just been slammed. We'll send out a link to all you guys. We got you. We got you, bro. It's gonna be Thursday at 12, Pacific Standard Time.
I will not be here, guys. I'll be at the mastermind.
Oh, that's right. You're okay.
And you're gonna have to roll with Wednesday on your own, but on Wednesday I'll log in, make sure I log in long enough to pass the controls over to you and Mike and James.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll hit you up, Ty. Also, that lead that you brought me in Florida, I've been going back and forth with I believe he's the co-listing agent. And I have not been able to get a hold of him yet. And I actually reached out to the seller to see if I could get a hold of her, and it was the wrong number. So I'll keep you updated.
Yes, I received your email. I read it. I need to find the seller's phone number after work so that I can call him probably early tomorrow. And also, the agent name is Nick. Is that correct?
I think that's the co-listing agent, but that works fine too.
Okay,
he's probably got a 9 to 5 like most agents do, and this is probably a side hustle.
Okay, so tomorrow I call him again. Then let's see if I can get in touch with him, and then I can how can I let you know right away? You can call him.
Well, yeah, you can try calling him after 5 p.m. Eastern time.
5 p.m.
Eastern time, because he's in Florida.
Okay. Right?
Because he might, like I said, he might have a 9 to 5. A lot of these agents who aren't closing multiple deals a month do.
Okay.
And then just let him know, hey, my partner's trying to get a hold of you. He's really busy. Is there like a good time that he could call you? And then get his availability, and I'll reach out to him.
Okay, okay.
But
And
that's a good opportunity. I've looked over the numbers and I want to buy it.
okay, sure. And also for this video, when can I listen to it? I mean, I'm at work right now, so I'm not in front of my computer, so I can't. I didn't see any, not much.
This
So
Zoom here, when can you listen to it? Oh.
Yes.
We're gonna be probably posting it tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Matt.
Yeah,
Next up, Ronnie.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
I'd asked a question in the chat, and you answered it, Gary, about if you can actually show the foreclosure attorney a copy of a signed contract, and if that would delay the foreclosure. And you mentioned yes. What's the deadline for that?
There's no specific deadline. Obviously, the sooner the better, the less hairy it gets. But if you have a legitimate signed contract, a purchase contract, usually they would rather see the house sold and get all their money than risk not getting, as much as they would at, selling at retail versus auction.
Okay, so what about the day of? Is that too close?
Well, you never know if it'll work or not, but if you just sign one at 10 minutes after 8 in the morning, you're presenting it. Why not? What do you got to lose? What does anybody have to lose, right?
Okay.
It helps to have people who know how to stop auctions. We have them in our community. I would not say I'm an expert at it, although I have delayed. I recently had a listing and I kept sending, first I sent the bank the listing agreement and then they delayed it a month. And then I sent them the purchase agreement and then they delayed it a month. And of course, they'd rather have the purchase, the retail sale where they get everything than risk losing money, right?
Right. Okay. And I think I wanted to piggyback. I know you just mentioned that I didn't hear about this before. The temporary restraining order. I was just wondering about all the different things besides bankruptcy that you could actually try to postpone the foreclosure. What are all those other options?
They're, like we said, TRO, bankruptcy will stop it, but sometimes a signed contract will do it. Everybody's got their own rules,
Okay.
Like I say, there are people who specialize in this in our community. So if you got a deal that you're coming up on the 11th hour, reach out and we'll see what we can do to help you.
Yeah, Ronnie, what I would say to that is what's more important as to how to stop a foreclosure is how to communicate with the seller that they're getting close to that point. And it's just going to be more of a heartache for them to go through that. And the quicker they sign with us, the quicker we get our TCs involved, the quicker we can actually help them through the process. So really, really important.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
And the videos are posted somewhere that we can all access them, right?
Yeah, you go the same place where you find the links to it. There's above there, it says past. Click on past. All the links to all the previous recordings are there.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
And next up, Yolanda.
Hey, Gary, how's it going? It's been a minute.
It's going great, Yolanda. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good. Gary, I had a question. I know you guys were mentioning probate. And what happened was there was a house that had gone through probate. And I was speaking with the agent. And the agent told me that they were waiting to see what liens or anything were on the property before they actually were going to list it. And so she encouraged me to check back with her week after week. And she said she was interested in possibly the creative financing. And so I kept checking back with her, only to find out she wasn't returning my calls. But I guess this weekend she had an open house and now the property is under contract. So my question is, if it's gone through probate, wouldn't they already know what liens are on the property? Because I literally waited and communicated with her when she said to check back with her, because I thought that was part of the process of probate, was that they would, any liens available would be taken care of.
Well, they have to do a title search, and then even after that, then if there are liens, the liens may have increased, so they have to send out demands. They have to send out for demands. So, like for instance, interest keeps accruing on an IRS lien.
Okay.
Interest keeps accruing on other other types of liens like judgments. And so they have, then once you identify everybody's got a lien, then you got to send out a request for a demand. What is your lien? What's the current demand level? So this takes time. However, I can say that creative financing is not a great option for probate. You're probably wasting your time chasing creative options on probate, right?
Well, now that it's under and the only reason was when I talked to her, she said the lady was open to the creative, that she just wanted to, if she walked away with a dime, she'd be happy. So she was open to any terms. So that's why I went ahead and just, followed up with her continuously. And so now that it's under contract, I guess.
Well, she put it on market and it probably went under contract pretty quickly. Now, the other thing to remember about probate is that there are third parties that have to sign off on it, like the trustee and the probate court. And if they don't understand what you're doing, they may not like it. Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, they're got to get paid, right? So I
Right.
really don't see how it would work with creative.
Okay.
Yeah. And so with listings, usually what has to happen is the seller and the agent have to come back down to reality and realize that they're not going to get the number that they want. And you never really know what's going to sell and what's not going to sell, right? You have to put her on the market and see what happens. So within the first 30 days, I wouldn't say that it's a real creative opportunity. I would say it's more about planting seeds. And then the next 60 days, then that's about like, look, we already know that it would have been under contract and sold within about 45 days. If it was going to, and it's not, it's low equity, then you pitch Subto. So there's got to be motivation there. And usually if it's fresh on the market or if it's a probate, it's probably not going to be an opportunity for you.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, thank you, Yolanda. All right, so Anna Marie and Rod, our dynamic duo, have one last question. They said a Texas Subto student realtor told me that there is legislation to force a license in January 2024. Hear anything like that? Anna Marie and Rod, the truth is, in most states, wholesaling is illegal or mostly illegal. California actually allows you 6 contracts a year before you need a license. Illinois allows 1. There are other states like Tennessee where it's really clear that they don't have any tolerance for it, but most states, frankly, says if you're selling someone else's property, if you're going out and marking property that you don't own, and the description is as simple as that. And when you have a contract, you don't own the property. You own the right to buy it. So you're selling a contract. Some states recognize that, some states do not. But the safest way to do business as a wholesaler is either like Patrick is, there's an agent involved in all his transactions. He's not doing direct to seller. And if he does direct to seller, he'll usually come to me and say, hey, let's, do this deal for me. So I give him cover. I charge a fixed price for that service, which is fairly reasonable. And he's covered. His transaction is totally covered. I think, what?
Go ahead.
Well, I think that what we're going to see is more enforcement because so many people are trying to do wholesaling and so many people are getting bothered by it and so many realtors are complaining about it. And, yeah, you know, on it, so on and so forth, that we're going to see levels of enforcement around this that we haven't seen before. So that's why I created the business, that, and the business model I created was to give cover to my Subto friends in their transactions in California. And I want to build out that model with other realtors in other states where we're providing reasonably priced services to protect people and to protect everybody in the transaction. So
Yeah.
that's a really good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. And when I hear that, I love that. I love that they want to tighten up laws against wholesaling, because I know it's going to stop people from wholesaling. It's not going to stop me, baby. It's just going to mean that there's less competition for me. So I don't care. Like, if they do that, that's fine. I'll just grab an agent. I'll get my agent to do it. And we're right now in California, we're direct agent. I don't know when we're going to be in other states, but I do know that there are a lot of wholesalers. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. There are key wholesalers that are doing high volumes in tons of states. So I don't know how they're regulating that. I don't even know if it's really a thing, to be honest, because I know there's people doing, like, you know, dozens and dozens of transactions in all different types of states where there's a limit on how many you can wholesale. So I don't know if that's actually a thing. But like Gary said, if that does come to fruition, you just grab an agent that you trust and you have them represent you on the deals, and you do a buyer broker compensation agreement and give them a piece of the deal. It's not a big deal. That's it.
Anyway, great. We're going to actually finish more or less on time today. So another really good session. Thank you, Patrick. I guess James had to dive off somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
Mike, thank you.
Mike, if you could put those links in the chat, if you want to put the opt-in and also the the opt-in and the JV links for us. Guys, inside of the chat, if you have not already gotten the list that we've posted, opt in so that you can get the list and start calling. I would set a goal, if I were you, 10 connections. That's 10 conversations a day, guys. If you do that, you will close a deal, in 30 days. 10 connections a day, you will get a deal in 30 days. All right. Links right there for the opt-in. Go ahead and grab those lists, and I'll have some new scripts for you guys as well. Okay.
All right, everybody. I won't see you until this time next week. But you'll be in great hands while I'm gone, and Patrick will just have life so much easier for himself. But
Ty says, bye, Doc.
thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.